What's happening, guys? I'm here in my truck on my lunch break, and I have a topic, which is, should you be using your super expensive knife that you bought? um, I think so, but I'm going to kind of explain myself here, because not in all cases, and obviously I'm not telling you what to do, but this is just my opinion. A lot of people will buy a super expensive knife, and that the term expensive is different for everybody. But I think we can all kind of decide together that about $1,000, $800 to $1,000 is like top of the line, some of the best knives you can get as far as build quality. Obviously there's customs, there's a whole world of that, but like as far as USA made, made in a small machine shop quality, $800 to $1,000 is kind of top of the line. If, for example, the Rosie, which I'm carrying today, that would be that would fit that. Koenig Arius, a Grimsmo Rask, a lot of these guys. Brown knives, Cortexes, skiff-made blades. There's a lot of them. Prince Customs, Protean. They're all right around $1,000. Some a little less, some a little more. But it's top of the line. We can agree that. We can agree on that. And some people buy those knives and don't ever carry them. Sometimes they will never leave their house. Sometimes they'll, maybe they'll carry it in their pocket, but if they actually need to cut something, they won't really use it. They'll take out a different knife or whatever. And a lot of people will just sit on the couch and play with their $1,000 cutting machine and not cut anything with it, which is a knife's primary purpose, is to cut things. And I'm here to say there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. There are some people in the community that I think it kind of bothers them when people don't actually use their knives for cutting. It kind of just bothers them for some reason. I'm not one of those people. I'm not the use your shit kind of person, and I don't agree with that sentiment. Personally, when I spend a lot of money on a knife, sure, there's a little honeymoon period where I'm a little more careful with it. And usually what happens is I kind of baby it for a couple weeks, and then I get to the point where I like the knife enough, I love the knife enough that I don't care if it gets a little scratched, because I just want to carry it more. I love it so much I want to have it in my pocket more often, and I want to use it. And I have found that once I reach that point and I start carrying a knife to work with me, I start putting some scratches on it here and there, and just spending time cutting with it, I fall in love with the knife even more. And I think most of you guys would experience the same thing if you took out your super expensive knife and started putting some scratches and wear on it. I think you're gonna like the knife even more once you start doing that, because you really see why the knife costs that much. It's not just the materials, it's the design and how it feels in your hand when you're cutting, how the blade passes through material super well, how easily it drops back, maybe, how the action doesn't get gritty or gross after a day of work. It just seems to still stay smooth somehow. How the pocket clip just goes in and out of your pants so easily, you don't even have to think about it. Like I said, I think I already mentioned the ergonomics. There's no hot spots. You can grip the knife as hard as you want, and it becomes a part of you. And you're not really going to get all of that by just flicking it at your house. If you want to do that, that's fine. But I think if you wanted to, obviously not telling you what to do, if you did start putting some wear on your really expensive knives, you would fall in love with them even more. But there's a whole side of this community of collectors. You know, they are people that want to collect knives, not necessarily use them as much. Everyone uses a knife for opening things, but as far as like, you know, carrying the knife with you daily for work or for just cutting a lot of stuff and putting wear on it, there's a part of the community that doesn't really do that. And that's fine. I mean, that's the kind of the collector side of things. And we all have a little bit of that. I have a little bit of the collector kind of side in me as well. But for me, it's more of a, I would say it's a little more of a tool than like a trinket for me. And there's certain knives that I'll baby more than others. Like my Rask, I will baby it a little bit more than like the Rosie, but not a whole lot more. And obviously I'm not going to be doing anything crazy like prying or throwing it or anything dumb, you know, that's not a knife's not supposed to be doing. I won't do any of that. But as far as like regular cutting stuff, I'm not holding back with the Rosie. I might hold back a little bit with the Rask, slightly. I might still be kind of in the honeymoon phase with the Rask. I might get to a point where I'm just like, all right, yeah, full bore, let's go for it. But I also want to say, don't force yourself to do it. You know, if you really kind of, you know, you get a scratch on your knife and it hurts your soul, you know, and you're like, oh man, I wish I hadn't have done that. Then maybe you're more of the collector type that doesn't want to scratch their stuff, and that's fine. Also, I want to say this. When I love a knife enough, I know that I'm not going to ever be reselling it. Therefore, I don't care if I scratch it. It's kind of this thing where, and this happens to me a lot, I'll get a new knife and I'll really like it, but I won't be in love with it. So I want to give it a chance. Usually it takes, a couple weeks. And during that first couple weeks, I am pretty careful not to scratch it because I'm not sure if I'm going to end up reselling it or not. You know, and obviously when you get scratches, the resale value goes down. So yeah, in the first couple weeks, I'm a little more careful. But once I get to the point where I'm like, oh yeah, I love this thing, I am not getting rid of this, then who cares if I scratch it? It's going to be mine forever. And each little scratch is a memory for me of when it happened. And it kind of just adds to the whole look of the knife. I think a knife that's a little scratched and a little used, to me, is more beautiful than one that is pristine. But it has to be me that did it to the knife. It'd be different if I just bought a scratched up knife used off Reddit or something. That wouldn't really feel the same as like, I bought this pristine and I put all this wear on it through my use. So, moral of the story is, do whatever you're going to do. I would encourage you to try it. Try taking out your super expensive knife. I think you might be, I don't know, maybe you'll get really into it. I do think that you might be surprised at how well it performs, because a lot of these knives are very expensive because they're cutting machines. Like, they're dialed in to cut super freaking good. The edge retention probably will be really nice, super, keep an edge for a long, long time. They're going to cut really well most of the time. And they're just going to function really, really well. The action's not going to change no matter what you do to it. Whenever you take it apart to clean it out, it's going to go back together exactly like it was. And that's just a sign of a good quality knife. And those are some things you're not going to notice unless you actually take them out and put them through its paces. So that's it. There's my 2 cents on it. Let me know what you think in the comments. Do you guys have Save Queens that you would never carry? Do you get to a point where you love it enough that you're not going to sell it, so it doesn't matter if you scratch it? Where do you fall in this discussion? I'm curious. But that's where I stand. So there you go. Thanks for watching. I love you guys. See you later.